Here we go, walking again. Yeah, it's, geez, I'm not good at this dates thing. I was never good at doing episode numbers for my other shows either. And that line there, I just suffered a deja vu. I get a lot of deja vu lately. Actually, all my life. But it seems like it happens more lately. Where it feels like I dreamed this happened before. Or I saw it somewhere before. And I remember hearing myself talk about that show. You know, which I'm referring to in my other podcast, of course. Where I always forget to say the episode number. And then I just don't bother, eventually, to say it at all. But I believe it's September 16th and crossing Washington. There's a lot of vehicles about. Yeah, I was already out driving this morning, but the work is yet to be done. So I'm practicing driving because I am, embarrassingly enough, only about to get my driver's license for the first time. Test is on the 28th, so wish me luck. I'll probably not have a chance to talk to you that day before it happens. Anyway, so I'm practicing every day driving with my helpers, and soon I'll be driving on my own, hopefully. And yeah, it's September 16th, 2020. That's where I stand. Listening to some, just, you know, soundtrack, rock and roll stuff in the headphones. And I'm walking down Madison. This is, basically going to be my normal circuit of the park here. I expect this will be pretty much what I do each morning. And by the way, the time is pretty late because I've been up a while, and I mean, I normally get up at 5, so it feels like longer. Playing pickleball, they are at the tennis courts. There's a fair number of people there. Well, I'm going onto the sidewalk. Here we go. Walking. And, yeah, I think I can do it today. I really laid down on the job yesterday, but I think I can get back on track today and knock out, 10K words, new words, and then edit as much of the old words as I can. That's the goal, as always. You can probably hear him. I'm actually playing tennis, not pickleball. So, here we go. Still basically where I was at yesterday. I did a little dictation after we got done with the podcast yesterday afternoon. But today, because it's not even 9 yet, there's plenty of time when I'm back from this walk to put in all the hours. It takes about 2 hours for me to dictate 10,000 words, and then I'll have time to edit until, 3 or 5, whenever I feel like stopping. Or 3 is really the earliest I would stop, if I get at it soon enough. Because, this is kind of my job, not podcasting, writing. And if I want it to continue to be a job for me, I need to produce more books, and that's my main problem. I have nine books out right now that I consider books, and a couple short stories that are on Amazon. And the books are all, well, I guess 4 of them are sci-fi and 5 are fantasy now. I think that's how it works. No, it's 5 and 4, which is terrible because I'm really trying to market myself as a fantasy writer these days. And that's all my projects currently are basically fantasy or space fantasy at the most, sci-fi-ish. So, yeah, space fantasy is an interesting little subgenre, but I'm not sure if it's even a genre on Amazon. I don't remember. A category, When you're an indie author, you do a lot of research on Amazon, especially when you're exclusive like I am. And I know it's not necessarily long-term smart to be exclusive with Amazon, but I just don't have the audience yet to go wide. And there's a huge capture of people in Kindle Unlimited. So I just put in all I can to make the money I can right now. And I don't think I would see any impact on sales from the other storefronts, especially without Kindle Unlimited. I would probably lose a third or half of my money. So, whatever, my income is pretty puny right now, so maybe it's not worth it. Quit piddling over a few dollars a month. But regardless, I have this book. This is the same book as yesterday, of course. So it's just 10 Liars 2, Bond Mage 2. I'm not sure what the sequel is, what I'm going to call it exactly. Kicking around a title like Soul Seal right now, but I don't know. I don't think that's a good one. I think I need to figure out a more fantasy title to actually draw people in. It's really going to be more of a fantasy thriller. It's going to have some major thriller elements to it. Because, of course, it's action adventure too, because it's a fantasy in a setting of the guns and stuff, then a more modern technology level. So that's kind of what I like to do. I mean, I'm not a huge urban fantasy writer or reader, but that's probably the actual closest equivalent to what my settings end up like. It's just that they're secondary worlds, so they can't really be urban fantasy now, can they be? Anyway, we're almost to the pool. I'm about to cross the block onto the pool's little spot. I don't get too close. It was closed most of the summer, thanks to the pandemic. But, people went there. I can't kind of imagine going to a public pool, this year, 2020. Oof. I mean, not only do I not go to them normally, though, I mean, it seems so dangerous with the threat of infection out there. Especially when we didn't really know that much. We still don't know that much about how, it's airborne. But I don't know how well water would protect you from it, if at all. What do I know? I'm not talking about that anymore. That isn't my concern right now, because the pool isn't even open. And there's no one in it. It's just a big empty pit with some lifeguard stands nearby. It's fenced in, so that's good at least. Nobody's wandering in there. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really eager to get more words down for this book. I did run into a sticking point, and that's really what had me stop yesterday. Was I didn't really know what happened next, and I felt like writing when I didn't know what happened next or what I wanted to do next was risky. But that's actually the opposite of the case for someone like me. And I'd argue for most writers. The real thing you want to do is just don't be worried about cutting words when you're in your rough draft and charge forward. If you go the wrong direction, you can always go back. It's mostly just about awareness of if you're going the wrong direction, and when you realize it is, you go back as soon as you can and take the right one, or at least a different one. Yep, we're losing leaves here already. There's a red on this tree. It's one of those things that a lot of writers don't understand, I think, or they might not agree with me about it. I'm not sure, but they don't understand it. But trying to be perfect on your rough draft, trying to get it right the first time, is, in my opinion, folly. And every error you make is actually a step closer to finishing the book if you do it fast enough and with enough confidence. And you also never know, I mean, at least I don't. I never know until I'm done with the book what actually is an error. So the key here is to either be open to making any kind of book, whatever kind of book results, or to have a clear idea of where you want the book to go and follow that path. So with me, it's a bit of both. I follow the path as best I can set out by my genre and previous expectations set by previous books, for example, in the series. And at the same time, I'm pretty open to the book changing and the characters being different people, at least if they weren't already established. But, you know, like a character that's new to a given book, which I usually have a lot of those, is kind of a flexible character to me. They can be whoever they decide to be. There's a kind of freedom to that. I don't try to push them in a direction. I just try to discover who they really were to begin with. Which sounds weird, because I don't do that much outlining or planning. Even my characterization, which I start with a little bit of, I start with a little characterization in my notes. But then I ignore that when I actually start writing most of the time. I'm not positive that's a good idea anymore. It does tend to mean I resort to stocks a little bit. Semi-stock tropes. Not like stock tropes that other people use, but the ones I use a fair amount. I think that's actually a real thing for a lot of people, is that they have just their go-to characters. Their archetypes in their own mind. Sometimes those are personal. I mean, after, 18 years of writing books, mine are pretty personal, I think. I mean, some definitely would conform to existing archetypes from other people or, systems that people use to write books. But mostly, I'd say this book is, the books I write, they tend to be populated by what starts kind of like a trio of, what they call on tvtropes.org, but power trio back when I read that site. Kind of. I mean, I try to be more flexible with those characters aren't necessarily a team, but they form like an archetypal base for all the other characters to operate around. Now, who is this trio? Well, it's the hero or heroine, their best friend, so that's 1 and 2, and then usually a love interest or other opposite sex character. And I think that's cool. I mean, I think it's okay. It's definitely the beginning of a story. But I'm trying to move away from it and either go with way more characters or way fewer characters, or just eliminate one of those members of the trio or add a fourth one who's equally important. And the current book doesn't really have a best friend character. And the love interest character is actually way downscaled in that role as love interest, because we did that last book and they're the same person, same character. So I think there's potential for this book to be like a little more original for me, honestly, more centered around a single hero, or just this larger, small group of 6 or 7 characters that are important, almost equally important as each other. And that's where we stand with the characterization, because mostly it's just this party of people who've been trapped on this island. And the main character is trying to save as many as possible, right? And this is where my other sticking point is. I'm already thinking about who can die in this group without ruining the book. Because this is going to be violent action, but I don't want to be cheesy, so somebody kind of has to take a hit and go down at some point. I'm not sure. I'm not saying that's not required, but the previous book in this series probably set that as an expectation to some degree. Or maybe it didn't. I'm not totally positive. Well, I'm back at the top of the park, so I'm on my way back. Nearly there. It's been 14 minutes, I think. What am I saying? I know exactly because I'm looking at the recorder in my hand. Some cars. I bet you can hear them. It's a loud one. A big old SUV truck thing. So, yeah, this is making me very aware of all my tics. Take a drink every time I say so. No, don't do that. You die. Maybe you wouldn't die, but I don't know your alcohol tolerance, but be careful. Drink responsibly. So, well, yeah, we're almost back to Madison, and my house is on Madison, so that's about to turn and make my way back I'll keep you with me until we get there, back to the driveway though. Or maybe back to the front porch. Who knows where my heart will take me to re-enter the house. Probably the porch. Okay. Nobody's coming. We're crossing the street. And be aware when you're writing. And I don't mean like be aware of specific things. I mean be aware of what you're putting down on the page. That's one thing that comes with experience. You get an idea of what your writing actually means before you finish the book. And when you edit, you can clean that up more. So, I mean, I just had a friend of mine just recently got into writing fiction, and when he's gone all out, not all out, but for him pretty well for his first novel. He's already written probably 25,000 words, or maybe 27. I forget when he started, but he's been doing like the NaNoWriMo, 1,700 or so words a day. And that's pretty good straight out of the gate. So, I don't know how long this book's going to be, but I've already volunteered to read it for him, which is cool. I mean, it's a little scary. I never know. I already read the beginning. I think his book's easy going in a good direction, a fun direction that I'll enjoy. But you never really know until you read a book. At least I don't. I never really know. I don't trust books very well. That's one of the reasons I'm not a huge reader these days. Because it takes me a long time to get to trust an author. And I don't have the patience for that most of the time. It occurs to me I should put more effort into doing that in the future. But anyway, so my friend who just started writing fiction, he's actually a friend from the potosphere, so I'm not going to reveal the name though. He just started. Come on, guys, let him exist in anonymity on this show at least. So he is really good. I mean, he's a really good storyteller already with no fiction experience. I'm worried that he'll mess up something. Like, I'm not worried, but I'm fairly certain, actually, that because, like most first novels, there's going to be some major screw-ups in it. Who knows? It'll just be a first draft anyway. Maybe I'll encourage him to just send me it, to try to edit it first, then send me the first draft, but I can be a first reader, that's fine. Anyway, I'm approaching the porch. There's going to be bugs aplenty under those trees. So, anyway, that's it. Take care of yourselves, people, and I'll talk to you later.